What I'd like to do is I'm going to ask Dr. Vitter, Provost Vitter, and Dr. Gerard are going to say a couple of words for us to kick off things on both campuses. The thing that's nice about this climate study, and I use climate study specifically instead of climate survey because we're going through a process, this is a system-wide effort. And so that is very significant because it's the first time ever that we've taken this level of initiative on gathering data around our campus climate. And so to do it from a system standpoint and that collaborative effort is very important. So Provost Vitter, if you can come up to the podium and talk in the stadium.
Thanks. Am I looking over here? Or, okay. I want to thank all of you for being here and taking part in this really, really important project. As Nate said, it's really for all of KU, Medical Center, Lawrence Campus, Edwards, and all the various campuses, including Wichita and Salina. The KU campus climate study is really, when you get down to it, it's a key component of what we're trying to do in our strategic plan, Bold Aspirations. I just happen to have a copy of our annual review that's about to come out. It's going to the press Friday. And when you think about what we're trying to do in transforming this institution and elevate it to ever, ever greater achievements, that absolutely requires that our campus offers a welcoming and inclusive environment for all faculty, staff, and students to live, to learn, and to work. And the KU Climate Study is going to address several aspects of our environment here at KU. First of all, respect and collegiality, the 3 C's of communication, collaboration, cooperation, overall work and academic environment, and also diversity, equity, and inclusion. This task force will work with a consultant team that's very, very highly regarded to provide all of us at KU with extensive examination of the current campus climate. And together it's going to provide, in some sense, the opportunity for a strategic action plan for going forward and making a real difference, laying the groundwork, frankly, for what will be the start of a whole new strategic planning process. When Bold Aspirations has run its course in 2017, we are going to be using this climate study as a beginning to understand where some of the issues are and where we can begin that next process. It's going to be a mechanism for institutional transformation and really maximize our ability to enhance equity and inclusion. So as a group, you yourselves are diverse and represent a wide variety and swath across the campuses. You come from a variety of background, you work or study in a number of different fields, and you hold diverse opinions. You bring an assortment of experiences and cultures to your roles here at KU, and that's the voice that we want to have here represented in this task force. And we want you to keep in mind that you're here to represent your own personal experiences, but also you are a member of the community. You're representing larger groups, and we want to have all of those larger collective inputs into the process. So I'm counting on you to bring to bear all of these qualities in your endeavor here. Your full participation is really going to ensure that we get the most out of this, and ultimately that KU will transform for the very best going down the road in the future. So thanks again for taking part, and as always, rock shop. Thank you.
Now we'd like to hear some words from Dr. Gerard at KUMC.
Thank you, Nate. This is Dr. Gerard, Executive Vice Chancellor of the Medical Center campus, and I want to appreciate everybody for coming together today to kick off this project, which really is very exciting. We're on a slightly different path here at the Medical Center. We, for about the last 2 years, or 2+ years, have been working on a task force on diversity and inclusion, and that ultimately resulted in the formation of this group, which is our Diversity and Inclusion Cabinet. which has representation from multiple constituencies across the campus. And we actually started meeting in January, has started to do some work in a number of areas. And so the timing for this project for us is really perfect. It's, this cabinet will serve as our oversight committee for this project, including Wichita and Salina. And we have members from both those campuses as part of this cabinet, and Mr. Thomas is part of that as well. So this body of work is going to be very informative for this group as we go through the evaluation process. I think the data that's going to come out of this is going to be extremely helpful. We've seen some other institutions who have done this, and the data that's come out of those projects, in particular even working with this consultant, I think will really help us decide how we need to move forward on our campuses. So I really appreciate Nate taking the lead on this and including us in this project. We're very excited to get it going.
Thank you very much, Dr. Girard. Want to also thank our collaboration and working together with Dr. Jennifer Keaton, Dr. Edward Wilson, or Mr. Edward Wilson, and also with our Edwards campus as well. And so, and that is Dr. Stacy Walters. And so that collaboration is very important and how we are working together. So I just wanted to say thank you. I know there's many logistics as we go through this, so I appreciate everybody's patience. And as Provost Vitter said, rock chalk, of course Jayhawk, and I know now what we're going to do is on our respective campuses go to the work that we are going to be doing individually from those groups, and then what that looks like when we bring Rakin in and how we plan that work on each of our campuses. So I want to say once again, thank you. So we can go ahead to our respective groups. So we're going to go ahead and then move forward with our group here, and then they're going to move with their group. All right. So one of the things that, let's see, how do I turn this off? So first and foremost, what we're going to do, I feel like I'm not talking to the mic anymore. What we're going to do is we're going to do some introductions so everybody can get an idea of who's in the room. And I believe, are we going to start with our tables, Kathleen, or are we just going to go around the entire room?
We're just going to go around real quickly.
Okay. Okay. All right. So if you, one, can provide, I think you need to switch over right quick. Okay. If everybody can provide their name, who they are, and basically the department that you're from, that would be fantastic. Name, title, and the department from where you're coming from, that would be fantastic. So Al, let's go ahead and start with you.
How's everybody doing? My name is Alan Jones. I go by Al. I work at KU Student Housing, and I'm a complex director in charge of GSP in Corbin Hall.
Hi there, my name is Jen Humphrey. I'm with the KU Biodiversity Institute, where I'm the Director of External Affairs.
I'm Dave Darwin. I'm the Chair of Civil, Environmental, and Architectural Engineering.
I'm Margaret Marco. I teach in legal.
Susan Williams, the Director of Undergraduate Studies for Chemical Control Engineering, and also faculty athletic representative.
I'm Katie Jones. I'm a learning development specialist with Community Associates.
I'm Hassan Joseph, faculty member in the School of Business, and I currently have 2 Jayhawks enrolled in KU.
I'm Sean Alexander from Mathematics and Studies in the Links.
Good afternoon. My name is Becky Porter. I'm the interim director of the Office of Multicultural Affairs.
Hi, Kathleen Stratton. I'm an associate director of human resources.
Mason, I'm a student and I'm studying economics and finance.
My name is Eileen Dingus. I'm in facility services. I work with the team that maintains the buildings north of the boulevard. And prior to that, I worked with the team that maintained the buildings west campus and off campus.
Jeff Chasen, Associate Vice Provost for Institutional Compliance, and I have 3 kids at Jayhawk, past, present, and future.
Chuck Wilchesky, Director for International Student Services.
I'm Monica Biernat. I'm a professor in the Department of Psychology.
Hi everyone, I'm Jessica Pringle. I'm the President of Student Senate.
Good afternoon, everybody. Michael Chavez. I'm the Young Campus Recruitment Coordinator for the School of Engineering.
I'm Cassie Franklin. I'm a doctoral student in counseling psychology over in the School of Education. I'm JJ O'Sulkern. I'm a program director for the KU Memorial Unions.
My name is Trina Ramirez. I'm a research analyst with Institutional Research and Planning.
My name is Galen Clark. I'm secretary to the chancellor.
Hi, I'm Nai Zeng. I'm an international student representative.
I am Rick Ginsberg. I'm Dean of the School of Education.
Hi, I'm Guy Price. I'm zone manager for facility services.
Hi everyone, I'm Saida Bonifield and I am the project manager in the vice provost of diversity and equity. You've probably received emails from me, and you will continue to receive them.
I'm Terry Morris and I'm in the provost office.
All right. So one, I would like to give you a nice round of applause, and I'm giving that to you now, just in case you have some second thoughts as we go along this journey together. We will be on a journey, and first and foremost, I have to say we are being videotaped. So just to let you know, so you don't have any embarrassing moments, because we all try. And two, I would like to thank Saida, Terry, and Kathleen because they are really the orchestrators of making sure everything functions related to all these moving parts. And when you're dealing with multiple campuses and trying to coordinate multiple activities, it gets a little stressful. And so they have done a phenomenal job to coordinate everything. And so I just really want to make sure that I acknowledge them today and as we move forward. So thank you once again. If you open up your folders, what you'll notice on the right-hand side is there's a letter from the chancellor. I'll give you a couple moments just to read that. I was with her yesterday at one of the student welcomes that they had with OMA, and she's very excited about this initiative going on, and she's so excited about its system effort. And so I just wanted to share that with you personally, even though that she's included this letter to you. So why don't you take a moment to read that. All right. So let's go ahead and I will go through the process of just some of the logistics, and Dr. Vitter had highlighted some of the areas. One, and this information is in your packet on the left-hand side, I believe, related to the PowerPoint. So you can have that, a copy of the information. And this information is highly important. And the reason why it's important, because we've been using it as our script to talk to different constituencies about that this is a climate study and it's a process. So language becomes important and how we share how this process is moving forward. So one, excuse me, the purpose is to understand and develop really specific objectives and action plans related to the learning, living, and working environment at the University of Campus. So that's really our purpose. And so when we think about from a system approach, what we already know is that you have KU Lawrence, Edwards, and KUMC that's involved in this process. I've already introduced Mike, and so both of us are leading the march on that, but also Jennifer Keaton at the KUMC campus and Edward Wilson are helping out, and then also Stacy Walters from the Edwards campus is representing and serves on our steering committee. So having strong representation. As you notice in this room, we have representation from all parts of campus and all diverse aspects of our organization, which are highly important as we move forward in this initiative. We have a smaller steering committee that's made up of approximately about 12 folks, so it makes the work manageable. That steering committee helps really guide both Mike and I and Saida and Kathleen are facilitators in that process and will help facilitate the task force, because the task force is a little bit larger, and so the steering committee helps deal with some of the logistics on how we move forward. The task force is a little bit larger. It's approximately about 40 people. We thought that was important because there are places where we really need that task force as we move forward, and I'll talk about that charge as it relates to the work that we'll be doing. Our consultant is Dr. Sue Rankin. When you look at the end of your presentation document, you'll notice that there are actually some sites that are links that are included from different universities where she's done climate studies. She's done the entire UC system. She's done the Wisconsin system. She's done large universities. She's done small universities. And so she comes in with the breadth of knowledge and skills to really move us forward. And on top of that, they're at the tail end of finishing the K-State study. And so if you want to, that's also a link in there. And they have things laid out nicely for the K-State. The next component is really looking at what the study is about and how we're going to be looking at these environmental aspects. And Provost Vitter kind of highlighted those areas. So when we think about respect and collegiality, when we think about communication, collaboration, and cooperation, overall work, and the academic environment, and diversity, equity, and inclusion. What I also included in here was a definition around campus climate, just so we're clear on how Rankin and Reason are looking at climate and current attitudes, behaviors, and standards of practice. So that information is in here for you to provide that foundation as well. When we think about where we're trying to go as an outcome, the University of Kansas will learn how to really look at all constituents groups, our faculty, staff, students, and administrators, and the experience and perceptions that relate to the climate of living, learning, and working at the university. Those things are highly important. When we started out, many times, because I deal with diversity, people automatically go to, it's going to be a diversity survey, and it's larger than that. It's HR, it's thinking about our human capital, it's thinking about our students, it's inclusive of all. The beautiful thing is that we can disaggregate, and Rankin shows that in some of her work and how she disaggregates across different groups, which makes the study powerful. When we look at also the experiences and how we respond to those, so whether it's dealing with governance issues, whether it's dealing with pedagogy, current issues that are happening, professional development, inter and intergroup dynamics, relationships, respect issues, those things are also important as outcomes. And then I think the piece that I really enjoy about Rankin's work is that what we find out sometimes in the literature, or just even through practical operations dealing with organizational management and development, is that folks collect all kind of data. And they have these wonderful servers and beautiful bookshelves that they put the data on these shelves, and it just lives there and nothing happens. And so part of this process leads us to taking that data, talking about that data, wrangling with the difficult conversations we have to have with the data that are actually going to lead into objectives and action plans on how we're going to make change at the University of Kansas. And the great thing about that is that it's a campus initiative. And so that means that we're going to hold all of ourselves accountable around those initiatives. So it's just not D&E or and it's just not HR, but it's our entire campus that's involved in how we make those changes in this environment. So that is important, and that's the importance of our work with this climate study. And then lastly is the component from this part of the section is really dealing about with your work. And so here is part of the charge. The task force will work with the consulting team, and that's going to be Sue Rankin, that will provide KU with an extensive examination of the current campus culture and provide strategic action steps to lay groundwork for future initiatives. The beauty I like about this, and I know the provost likes about this, is that it segues very nicely into our next iteration of whether it's bolder aspirations or the boldest aspirations. And so it sets up nicely as we move forward with our new strategic plan. So those initiatives, future initiative, institutional transformation, and what's nice, we also included an article in there from Rankin dealing with the transformative and transparent process, and maximizing KU's ability to enhance equity and inclusion. One of the things that I know from my office is that we are really on a journey to become one of the leaders around diversity. And so doing that means that how do we engage an entire campus around that? And so that means that people look to us for best practices. People come visit our campus for best practices. And so through this process, that's part of our strategy and vision to get there. As we think about the other aspects of part of your charge, the KU Climate Study will address the following environmental aspects that I mentioned earlier. So you have them all laid out for you. And so next, I'm going to ask Mike to talk a little bit about the phases on parts of the study, and then we are going to go into a specific activity that Saida and Kathleen will help guide you with as we start this journey.
Thanks, Nate. And I'm just going to take a couple moments to run through the phases, which you can see very clearly on the presentation, because what's really important today is the opportunity. This is the first time that we've all been together, and to provide you an opportunity to break out into groups and spend a few moments shaping feedback to us on both what you hope to accomplish and certainly things that you think we will all have to address over the course of the next couple of years. And so I'll use that term, next couple of years, is we're going to be together for a little while. And I just wanted to make sure that I emphasize that, because in order to do this process correctly and to do it consistent with the best practices that Dr. Rankin has established, it takes time. And so as you can see on there, the first phase of this is really broken into two areas. This fall and next spring. And so phase one is this first year, and it's really a preparation phase. So we will work with Dr. Rankin to make sure that everybody on campus is educated on what we're trying to accomplish, and that she has and her team has an opportunity to collaborate with us and review the data that we have. And then as we roll into the spring is the second part of phase one, the opportunity to meet with a wide range of focus groups and really understand us significantly better. And as part of that is to begin to shape the survey itself. Next summer is the process for her to complete the survey and also to shape a communication plan. And as you know, most of us in this room, the summer is indistinguishable from the rest of the year. We continue to work hard, but it is a little bit of a transition for the campus. And so communication plan, in order to make sure that the work that we've done this year is carried forward into the next fall. And the next fall is the actual administration of the survey that was completed during the summer and the analysis of the information we collect from the survey. Nate mentioned to you that K-State is currently in the process of finishing their climate survey. They were able to get a 30% response rate. Normal surveys on campus, and I forget, I think that there's somewhere around 700 surveys done on this campus each year, and the normal response rate is somewhere between 6 and 7%. So a 30% response rate, when you look at all the groups that are involved, I mean, this is a holistic, total university effort. 30% is great, but if K-State can do 30%, I know that KU can do a lot more than 30%. And so that's going to take all of us and a lot of hard work in order to maintain momentum through the fall in order to get great returns on the survey. As we roll into the spring, naturally, an opportunity to report out. Dr. Rankin has a process to do that. And as you can see, as we roll into phase 5, that's the shaping of the strategic plan. And in some of our discussions is maybe the opportunity to compress that whole process a little bit in order to ensure, as Dr. Vitter mentioned and then Nate mentioned, is to ensure that the results of this large holistic effort are available in order to shape, and I think it would probably be boldest aspirations, but really to shape the next strategic plan, but also for all of us who are responsible for continuous improvement of the university to then be able to use, as Nate mentioned, the disaggregated data in order to continue to improve the areas that we're responsible for. So, again, a big effort and an effort that spans a couple of years, and we look forward to working with this group, and we really appreciate you stepping forward and being willing to help us implement this very important process. So with that, Nate, I think we're going to transition to getting a little bit of work out of the task force.
Yes. For those that know me or see me talk, I'm very challenged by standing here at the podium. I'm a kinetic thinker, so I like to move around, and so we're now getting ready to get to the point where it's really about you and having conversation with each other. So once again, I want to thank you. I'll probably end on that note. As we have part of your conversations, I know the steering committee is also thinking about how we think about our students throughout this journey and our process. How do we continue continuity? How do we think about return rates? And so thank you as we have these discussions, and I want to turn it over to Saida and Kathleen.
Hi, everyone. So we would like to want to make sure that we get your input moving forward on this. That's going to be part of the task force's kind of job. So we're hoping to do a small group activity so you could also get to know one another, since we will be working together. Most of us will be working together over a couple of years. I know some of the students in the room will probably sadly leave us. But before we did that, I wanted to say a couple of things, details. We are still solidifying the details for our next meeting in November with the consultant. Once we have that information, we will get that information out to you as soon as possible. But that is our next meeting. That's our hope, is that we will be meeting with the consultant. So you'll have a chance to meet the consultant. And I believe Dr. Rankin will be coming by herself, but she also has a team of people. But I just wanted to get you all that information. So if you have questions moving forward, but we will let you know as soon as possible. So for the small group activity, you have 2 note cards on your in the middle of your table, a yellow one and a blue one. So if you could nominate, or someone could volunteer to be the note taker / reporter for the group, that would be great. So we're hoping that you could have, here we go, 3 hopes for this process and for the end result. So the survey or the results from the survey, however you see that in process, and 3 challenges that you foresee during this process. If you could compile these and as a group and get to know one another, go get some food and some drinks, talk to one another, and talk in a group and get that information, that would be great. And then we'll break a little bit before time to go, and we'll have each group have somebody report out.
Is there a color difference? Yeah.
Yes. So the hopes. I mean, I was thinking the hopes could be yellow and the challenges could be blue. That makes sense in my mind, since blue is sad and maybe challenging, but I don't know, that's fine. As long as you all label it, it's fine. So I encourage you all to go get drinks, go get snacks, and talk to one another about your hopes and challenges. Thank you.
The group of the process and challenges.
And so you know, once you read in your packet, there's a theory on which the climate study is based, and it's a transformational tapestry theory. One of the core pieces of that is transparency. So in an effort to be transparent, we're using this video, and we'll upload it and have it available for anybody, for the campus community or for the larger community. So just so you all know, that's kind of the intention behind it. But yeah, come on up, Jen.
I was just translating our notes from My Chicken Scratch and from an iPad, and realized that we came up with more hopes than we did challenges. But what we really concentrated on for our hopes was really hoping that we can not only enumerate what the barriers to success might be at KU, whether you are a student or faculty or staff, but also how to reduce them. That, again, referencing what Nate had said before, that we're not just producing a report on a shelf, but actually taking action on it. That we want to create something that really gives easy access to voicing one's opinion and improving communication across KU. We talked about how it seems that there may be fewer opportunities for communication to move up and down as well as laterally across KU. We want to make sure that everyone feels like they have a voice and can be involved. And also finding a mechanism to give a true voice to all different audiences of students and faculty and staff, particularly those who may not feel that they have a voice or want to be vested in such a project. Among the challenges, which where our blue note card just went, I guess I left it there. See, that's how much we're rejecting challenges. We can do this. One of our challenges is also one of our hopes, that making sure that everyone has a voice is a challenge. How do we get everyone invested in this process, especially those who may not feel like it really affects them? Say you are a graduating senior or a graduate student who's on the verge of graduation. How do we get you to be invested in something that isn't going to affect you maybe right now, but will affect your peers coming up down the line? And how do we seek the most representative participation across KU, knowing things like graduate student participation is very low, for example, or that there may be groups that are disinclined to become involved. So that's what we came up with.
Who wants to go next? I'll go. Anyone? A very key, important piece is that I do want those note cards before you all leave. So make sure that me or Terry gets those. Thank you.
You bet.
Okay, we came up with a long list, but I'll pick 3. For hopes, we thought we would hope that KU can get serious about addressing diversity in terms of specifically African Americans and Hispanics in terms of representation. We would hope that one result of the climate study would be to really reveal problem areas at KU in terms of inclusiveness in the climate and to be able to actually address those. We talked about communication, but the first group said that, so I'll skip. We'd like one sort of long-term result of the climate study and what we do in response to be that KU becomes a desirable destination for all underrepresented groups. And we had a long list of challenges too, but one of our challenges was we would like the data that result from the study to be sophisticated enough that that it takes account of the fact that the majority view is largely reflective of the fact that KU is a white majority campus, and so the overall sentiment of results for the climate study might not actually be representative fully of underrepresented groups.
Thank you. Here I go.
Hello again, everybody. I'll start with our challenges first. I thought we had some pretty good discussion over at our table, and so the 3 challenges that we kind of came up with is the first one being that I think we have a really great goal of trying to reach that 30% response rate and exceeding that. We definitely think though it could be difficult, especially with a 2-year timeline. And I think one of the biggest challenges with that is to keep that interest kind of maintained before actually administrating the particular survey. The second challenge that we talked about was being able to develop our strategic action steps in the summer. We kind of looked at the timeline and we're concerned that faculty and students would be gone during that summer time period. So we thought maybe that could be a kind of a potential challenge. Who will be developing the action plan when those 2 big groups may not be represented. And the third challenge was how do we reach out to staff members with limited access to the internet? If we're going to be administrating this online, how are we going to reach those who may not have access to that? Reaching staff members where English maybe is not their first language, or they're reaching out to our illiterate staff members. How do we make sure that everybody has access to this so we can get the most accurate data for our task force? And then for the hopes, our 3 hopes here is that we want students to participate in the survey. And I think that even now, we talked about just kind of, even within the student groups that I work with, I'm already seeing kind of a buzz about that. And students are talking about it right now. They know that a task force has been created, I think that there is just kind of this nice little buzz right now that students are kind of in anticipation of this. And so we hope that their voices really do, that people do show up and that they're able to get their voices heard. The second one being that we think that this would, we hope that it helps with recruitment and retention of a more diverse faculty and staff on campus. You know, I think with our slogan being a great place to be, we want to make sure that that's accurate. And so being able to recruit and retain our staff and faculty and students. And then finally, it's kind of maybe more of a dream, but it's just to, you know, everything that create, you know, our end result, wanting it to be adaptive solutions and not necessarily technical solutions, meaning that we don't want Band-Aids. We want stuff that's actually going to stick, that's going to be able to last a long time, but also to be adaptable. You know, things change, and so we want to make sure that what we create is going to be able to last a long time. So, challenges and others.
Jamie? I'm not sure that we will say anything new, but I'd like to just say it because it's a little bit different. So our challenges were maintaining the level of engagement because this is a process. We were reflecting both on the task force and then also on campus, so ensuring that the momentum stays alive throughout the entire process. Same concerns as others, that we want to ensure that constituencies are all represented, and if people aren't here as part of the task force or other groups that get involved, kind of determining why and how do we engage them in the process. And then again, the low response rate was a concern. Our hopes were that we would elicit a genuine, broad, authentic, and strong response. Furthermore, the process would lead to stimulation and ownership of issues, and that the report and the results lead to implementation of significant change in a transparent manner. So that's what our group had.
One of the things about sitting at the back, most of ours have already been discussed, which is actually pretty cool. But we'll start with our challenges. We're concerned about the accessibility and length of a survey and as engagement barriers to effectiveness and a response rate. Meaning, if it's going to be a 250-word survey, how many people are going to get to 250 question survey, how many people are going to get to 8 questions and say, oh, this is too long? How do we balance that with getting all of the information that we're going to need? We need to reach every level and segment of campus. As someone else mentioned, we do have staff members that don't have access to computers, that don't read very well, that don't necessarily feel like they can participate in this. We need to reach out electronically, on paper, every way we can, and that's going to be a challenge. And there are so many other groups working with ongoing issues related to campus climate, including but not limited to the Sexual Assault Task Force. We want to work with them, not duplicate their efforts, and not roll over their efforts. As for our hopes, we want the survey to get an accurate picture of actual climate to make decisions and take action. As someone else mentioned, this is a fairly homogeneous campus. We're pretty white. So we want to make sure that all the groups that are on campus are represented. We hope that there is communication and inclusion, establishing new pathways for communication that includes all segments of campus. And we want to be able to get a meaningful response rate. If it's the same 25 people that always respond to all of the surveys, it's not going to be accurate. So that's what we hope for.
Is everybody gone? Everybody's gone? No. Yes. Okay. All right. Well, thank you all so much for that. I appreciate your authentic responses. And actually, a lot of these questions have been already brought up, so I think this is very, very helpful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to compile all of these for everyone and send it out, but I would also like to share these with the consultant. Dr. Rankin does appreciate getting information on the front end that will also help to formulate our focus groups and how we go about that, which you all will help us figure out how to go about that and kind of make sure that we do have spaces for people who might not have access to email or the internet, that type of thing. So this information will be utilized in this process. Next thing I want to let you know, so many of the students, the undergraduate students who are on this task force are not here today, so I'm going to follow up with them just so you all know. I'm going to ask some of the undergraduate students who are here today to I might email you all and ask you all to kind of maybe host some sort of student contingency or some sort of meeting. Fine. Some sort of meeting with students, so maybe at a different time, that type of thing. So do really want to make sure, and possibly some graduate students too, Cassie. So that's and then also I want to say we're hoping for November 16th as a date for the consultant to come visit, but of course we do not have travel arrangements made yet because we're still waiting on her schedule. So I'm going to let you all know that, and know that in the afternoon of the 16th, it's a very good possibility that will happen. I'm hoping that all of you will have time. I'm hoping it'll be kind of a longer meeting. I think what she plans to do, what she does a lot, and you can see this on the other communication plans and the other studies she's done. That happens a lot. That she'll do kind of town hall meetings with universities. So I just want to put that out there for you all, but I will be sending you emails with updates as soon as possible. I'm hoping to know early next week. All right? Okay, well, I think I'm going to hand it over to Mike and Nate to say any follow-up things. And yeah, again, this work example, those are on the last page of your PowerPoint presentations, which are in your folders.
So some of the undergrads may not know this, but you can check it out on YouTube. Of course, Hill Street Blues, they always finish their meetings by saying, hey, let's be careful out there. So thank you, and enjoy the rest of your week.